here at the Board of Education Forum in Manhasset. And, you know, I'm the president of the League of Women Voters, and welcoming all here to this candidate forum where we get to talk to candidates about their issues that matter certainly to us, and we look forward to the questions you might have. As you know, our league is nonpartisan. That means that we don't support any candidate for election. And to be completely impartial, we make sure that the moderator who handles the questions and answers and moderates the forum is not from this district. So Dorothy Schwetzker is from Port Washington. And she, of course, knows very little about the issues in Manhasset. So we'll be depending on you to raise the issues that concern you. We don't support any or oppose any political party when we do candidate forums for various county, state, and national elections. Our mission is to engage you, the voters, by giving all candidates for a given office the public space to answer questions in a structured way while maintaining civil discourse. If you'd like to join our league, we have a couple of signs there on the table by the exit, and you can log on to our website, and there's a scan code there that you can use. We hope you'll consider joining us. During the meeting, we'll be asking you to come to the mic with your questions, and the mic is in the middle there. Dorothy Schwetzker, as I mentioned before, will be the moderator for this evening, and she takes care of all questions, and Amy Bass from our league will measure the time of each question. And so without further delay, I'm introducing Dorothy Schwetzker to read the rules. The rules are also posted on the door as you come in. You know, if you want to take an extra look at them later on. Take care, and it's all yours, Dorothy.
And away we go. If I forget, and I don't speak into the mic, just wave your arms, do something, because there's every chance that I'll forget. So thank you, Regina, for the introduction, and good evening to everyone. And welcome to the candidate forum for the Manhasset Board of Education. For over a century, the League of Women Voters has sought to make democracy work by holding events like this so that voters like you can hear the views and observe the behavior of candidates on a range of issues relevant to your community. This is why we ensure that all candidates agree to the debate procedures. And by being here today, you're also agreeing to abide by these procedures. Regina pointed out the poster where the rules are displayed. The League has used procedures like this for over 60 years to ensure a fair process and encourage civil discourse. I'm going to read them to you. It's going to take about 3.5 minutes. I try not to sound like the FedEx commercial, but I'll go quickly if I can. As Regina said, the moderator will be a member of the League who's outside of the district. I vote in Port Washington. That's also where I live, good thing. Candidates' opening statements will be determined by drawing lots before in-person events. The same order will be used for opening and closing statements. Tonight, Ms. Bauer will go first, followed by Ms. Bruno, and then Ms. Pescatore. Each candidate will be allowed 2 minutes for an opening statement. After each candidate has spoken, I will open the meeting with questions. Questions will be asked at a microphone, and audience members are cautioned that you must ask a question. This isn't an opportunity to make a statement. In all cases, as the moderator, I'm the final arbiter of whether a question should be answered. Please try not to be duplicative, and don't be personal or abusive. That would be wrong. Each candidate will be given 1.5 minutes, 90 seconds, to answer each question. At my discretion, the time for response may be reduced so long as I accord each candidate the same amount of time. There are no rebuttals. Questions may be addressed to a specific candidate or to candidates in general. Although if you address a specific candidate with a question, everybody has a chance to answer the question. I will attempt to rotate the order of responses for each question, so ladies, please, if I flub that, give me a signal. I'll try and fix it. Amy Bass, who is a member of our league, will serve as timekeeper. 1/2 minute from the end of any given time period, the timekeeper will alert the speaker by a prearranged signal. That was the yield sign that was just flashed, and when you've reached the limit, you'll see the stop sign. Candidates will have 2 minutes for a closing statement. Since the purpose of the meeting is to determine the candidate's views, no substitute for the physical presence of the candidate will be allowed should a candidate be unable to attend. Now, all 3 candidates are here tonight, but just for the record, they would not have been allowed to provide a written or recorded statement in lieu of their active participation. We have to have at least 2 or more candidates for each seat to be present. The use of props, charts, visuals, and the display of campaign collateral or apparel is prohibited. In accordance with league policy, audio and visual recording by authorized members of the media will be permitted only if all the candidates present agree. The league maintains the right to record the forum and publish it on league-controlled electronic pages. No other recording will be allowed. No partial transcript or recording may be published without the written permission of the league. All of our candidates tonight have agreed to comply with these procedures, and now, as members of the audience, so have you. We have some additional expectations for you as members of the audience. Please be sure that your cell phones, and I have to do this myself, are turned off or silenced. Please do not block the doors or the camera. Your purpose is to hear from the candidates, so let's focus on their voices, not yours. Please remain seated during the question and answer period. As moderator, I will stop the debate if the audience interrupts. Interruptions really reduce the time for candidates to speak, and they're the reason why we're here tonight, so let's let them have the floor. To repeat, league policy permits only authorized recording of these forums. Taking clips or segments is not authorized. The league is recording this forum and will post it to our League of Women Voters of Port Washington and Manhasset, to our YouTube channel before the election. Any audience member who violates the agreed procedures for the forum or disrupts the forum by ignoring these audience expectations after being warned may be asked to leave. So, I really do thank you all for being here after that long-winded start. And now, we are ready for the opening statements, and Ms. Bauer will go first. I'll ask you to applaud after each of our candidates delivers their opening statements, and then to hold your applause during the question and answer period. You can get back to clapping when we get to closing statements. All right, so Ms. Bauer, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, my name is Eileen Bauer. First, I would like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting our candidate forum. I also want to acknowledge my fellow candidates. I know we're all here because we want the best for Manhasset schools, our students, and our community. For those who don't know me, my husband Dave and I have lived in Manhasset for 16 years. We have a son and daughter, twins, that are in the 8th grade. When we were deciding where to live, Manhasset was the community we wanted to be a part of for many reasons, but mainly because of the unparalleled public schools. I'm running for the Manhasset School Board because I believe that my unique background will allow me to offer workable solutions that tackle the ever-evolving challenges and the changing landscapes of our schools today. I earned my bachelor's degree from Fairfield University and started my career in direct-to-consumer marketing. I spent a decade working as a specialist in analyzing, projecting, and reporting on data and financial results at companies such as Saks Fifth Avenue and Coach. This background affords me an invaluable skill set when it comes to interpreting data that will inform decisions regarding our school community. While working for these companies, I was invited by my former professor to teach a course on careers in marketing. I then discovered a passion for education. I returned to school and earned my master's degree. I've now worked as a teacher for 14 years. I have extensive experience teaching mathematics as well as classrooms that have English language learners and special education inclusion classrooms. I will be able to use my experience with these diverse educational settings to knowingly participate in and advise discussions regarding our Manhasset school community. If elected, I will be a pragmatic and fair board member who considers all aspects of the important decisions we are tasked with making. I will be a tireless advocate for the students, parents, and educators of our district. Here are some key areas I would like to focus on. First, we need to foster an environment where our students, talented teachers, and administrators are driven to be the best that we can be. Students in our district are ambitious, focused, and motivated learners, and the staff should be the driving force behind them, providing innovative and exciting ways to learn and thrive while focusing on a strong curriculum. Next, I will focus on maintaining fiscal responsibility and sustainability. With every budgetary decision we make, we need to prioritize the heartbeat of our community, which is our students.
Okay.
I think there was a little confusion because the write-up said 3 minutes.
Did it?
Yes. So I had a little bit more left.
Procedures I was given said 2.
It's printed on here.
Decision.
That's why we were confused, sorry. Whatever you'd like to do.
Did the other two of you, did you also do?
Yeah, we all do 3
All right,
minutes.
well then, forgive me for interrupting you.
That's okay.
And let's let you have another minute.
Thank you,
and
I
we'll
just
go
have
forward.
probably another 30 seconds.
Okay, go.
Next, I will focus on maintaining fiscal responsibility and sustainability. With every budget decision we make, we need to prioritize the heartbeat of our community, which is our students. Making strategic decisions while navigating through economic changes, new demands from New York State, as well as shifting priorities will be an important focus. We have to find creative ways to give our buildings, students, and staff what they need for success. Lastly, I will build increased transparency, accountability, and communication that's essential to our collective success as a district. While the Manhasset School District is already an amazing district with talented teachers, award-winning programs, national accolades, and stellar student performance, there's always room for growth and innovation. As a board member, I will advocate for fair policies, continued technological advances, and creative approaches to education that empower our students, teachers, and administration while we remain fiscally responsible to the community. Thank you for this opportunity, and I look forward to the potential of serving you.
Again, forgive me for interrupting the flow. Ms. Bruno, you're next.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Marianna Bruno. I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting tonight's forum. I'd also like to thank my fellow candidates, as well as all of you who've come out tonight. The weather's not so great, so I appreciate the audience. I'm running for one of 2 seats. My husband and I, Joe, were born and raised in New York, and we chose to live in Manhasset because of the schools and the community. I'm a working mom with 4 amazing and inspirational children in the school district, 2 in the elementary, 1 in the middle school, and 1 in the high school. I'm a healthcare professional by training with a doctorate in pharmacy, a master's in public health, and a master's in business administration. I currently work in the healthcare industry, which involves educating and advocating for the needs of patients, which has many parallels to advocating for the needs of students. In my current role, I'm responsible for a multi-million-dollar budget, managing and mentoring a high-performing team, oversight and adherence to policies within my sector governed by federal regulation. A key aspect of my job is reviewing large amounts of data and observing trends over time and the impact on outcomes. This skill set would be an invaluable asset to the board. Since moving to Manhasset, I've consistently sought out ways to volunteer my time and skills, whether that be volunteering at the SCA, acting as a class representative, supporting the mock college trial interviews, judging the school research fair, or teaching a religious education instructor, or just simply listening to my fellow moms and the community and what's important to them. I am truly passionate about making an impact wherever I can. Over the past several years, I've had the opportunity to be present at Board of Ed meetings, listening, observing, and when necessary, commenting. I've also had several occasions to connect with the administration on the unique needs of my children, as they each have different ways of learning and ensuring they thrive in the school community. All these interactions have shaped my why and my interest to be on the Board of Ed. For me, there are 3 key interests. First, excellence in academics, maintaining and elevating our excellence in our academics and extracurricular programs. Secondly, transparency when it comes to accessing resources. For example, navigating the various accelerated programs and offerings, or support services for ELA and reading for those that need them, for example. And third, and certainly not last but not least, budget oversight and proactive approach to budget, ensuring reserves provide a safety net when issues arise. In summary, my background, along with my involvement and my why, positions me well to represent parents, students, and the community on the board. Thank you.
Now, Ms. Pescatore, please.
Good evening. My name is Maria Pescatore. First, I'd like to thank the League of Women's Voters for hosting our candidate forum. As a parent who has been actively involved in our community for over 10 years, my heart is glued to this school. From organizing fundraisers to chaperoning events, I'm bringing an insider's perspective to act as a megaphone that you all need. And trust me, everyone who knows me knows how much I care and about making this district shine. My professional background is uniquely suited to strengthening our school. I have a Bachelor of Science in Business of Management at St. John's University. I worked as a construction manager for a large real estate business in Forest Hills. In that role, I am responsible for creating and ensuring and adhering to multi-million-dollar budgets, managing complex bidding projects, and general oversight of multifaceted business operation. My experience in budgeting, fiscal responsibility, and accountability is something I am confident will best serve our district, and something that is much needed. Those two words, responsibility and accountability, will be the cornerstones of my tenure if I receive the honor of being elected. Our school board needs to be managed with that in mind. Competitive bids, reducing waste, maximizing existing resources are just to name a few of the improvements we need. With the overall goal of guaranteeing funding for the top-notch education Manhasset is known for. Acting as a liaison between the school board and the community in which it serves is critical to my mission in fostering transparency. Honest, open communication is key to rebuilding trust. Why? Because parents have voices too, and they should be heard when considering the awesome responsibility we all share in the growth of our children. My motto is, we are in this together. As a mom of 3 children currently in our district, Luca 16, Giada 15, and Michael 12, if elected, I will continue to do what I've done since day one. Champion for all our children, work tirelessly to ensure the best educational experience possible. Thank you.
And now, we can open our forum to questions. So, hoping that the members of the Manhasset community have come prepared. So, the microphone is there. Perhaps you can introduce yourself and then offer your question.
Sure, my name is Jill Polano. The Board of Education.
Put the mic so that you can choose her.
Yeah. Is that better? Okay, start again?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Jill Polano. I'm a resident here in Muncie Park. The Board of Education trustee is a position of governance, not management. The district administration performs the management function. What do you think is the governance role of a trustee?
All right, now, I'm going to follow the initial order and then I will mix it up, okay? So Ms. Bauer, you first.
I think it's our job to be the liaison to the community. There's obviously specific needs and things that need to be done within the school that are under Dr. Passy's purveyance. But I think we are the people to be accessible to the community, to hear what everybody has to say, relay those needs to the school, and see if there's anything that we can do to help those needs be fostered in the school environment when they can be.
Ms. Bruno, please.
So it's really about oversight and governance. You're not creating policy. There are certain restrictions by state mandates that you do have to follow. Having said that, you still need to take the voice of the community into consideration and represent that voice. But there are confounds with that. So you're not creating new policy. You're adhering to what's there, but then looking at it with a lens for how that's actually supporting the children and not getting confused by that. The other aspect is you do have a key voice in who you hire. And so hiring and securing top talent and also making sure we maintain top talent in teachers and staff is so critical. And that's such a key important aspect of a Board of Ed member that I think is incredible. But mandates do restrict in terms of what you can actually deliver and change policy. So it is about governance and oversight and also representing the voice of the community.
Thank you. Ms. Pescatore.
Basically, the reason I'm here is for help in any different way that I can bring to the table to help go through the policies and the governances that the state gives, and to clarify what our neighborhood wants as well. And in order to do that, you have to see, how you can make it work together. It's not just one black and white paper. There's varying shades of gray in all of this. So we gotta do the best that we can as a team, as a board, as community members, and make it work as best as we can to make what's best for all. Sometimes there's guidelines and sometimes there's mandates, and there's a difference. Thank you.
This doesn't look like a shy group.
Now.
Hi, I'm Pat Aiken. I'm a 27-year resident of Manhasset. What do you think are the two most critical issues facing the district, and what skills do you bring to helping solve them?
Ms. Bruno, I'll let you have this one first, please.
Thank you, Pat, for the question. So I touched on it just a moment ago, retention. I think in the overall industry, retaining top talent is a challenge. And I know teachers and staff over the past couple of years, we've seen a potential trend, right? There's always opportunities and people should be looking, but at Manhasset, we don't want them to look. This is where they should stay and nurture our children. So retaining top talent, but then we should also be securing top talent. I know there've been some teachers that have gone to Jericho or Syosset, but how about we look at top talent there and do somewhat of a reverse mechanism in some ways. The digital era. I think artificial intelligence is beneficial, however, it's a double-edged sword. So what are we doing to keep ahead of technology? So being in the corporate sector has been very eye-opening for me, but I also think it has its benefits, but also challenges for our younger children who I think all of us have seen kind of when we were growing up, we weren't as tied to our electronics, but it's a necessary evil in some respects with regard to being able to know enough about technology and things like artificial intelligence and how to really nurture them in the school and find that balance. So retaining top talent and also keeping up with the forefront of technology with the balance.
Thank you. Ms. Bauer?
I agree that retaining top talent is something that needs to happen, but I also think that there's some digging to be done into looking into why we're not potentially retaining that talent, and to see what we need to do from the top down to make sure that our teachers are inspired, that they are happy, and that they are doing the very best they can every day, because that will translate into our students being happy students, successful students, and learning in a way that is exciting to them, which we know will make any student a better learner when they're excited about what they're learning about. So it's really a trickle-down effect. I think we do need to look into why we've had some losses here in the district. It could just be a natural thing, but I think there is something to be said for the fact that we need to look into that. I also do think that a second issue is our budget. We have a very large net that is very hard to move in terms of salaries and benefits. So I think it's our job to start asking the questions and digging a little deeper into where we can make some changes to potentially lean out in places where we need to, so we can give our students everything that they need.
Ms. Pescatore?
I'll reiterate what they said as well. Retaining top talent, keeping the best here. We don't want to lose anyone. In addition to that, I think that happiness starts from the top down. So if the top is happy, the middle will be happy, which are the students, the staff, and then the parents will be happy in the community. My biggest thing is give the kids everything that they need to succeed in life. If we don't give it to them or help them to achieve their best, then we're failing. So our district is wonderful. Everybody seems to have the children's needs and priorities met, but we need to continue that and keep encouraging everyone to push forward and look for the best, keep the best, and maintain the best. And that's what we should stick by. Thank you.
Don't give up that mic, because you're next. You're first. Assuming someone has a question.
Good evening. My name is Adrienne Baltz. I've been a Manhasset resident for the most part since 1968, and each of you have made mention to how, and rightly so, wonderful the district is. All of the programs and technology, and you can learn Mandarin and STEM, and it's really a pat on the back to all those who have come before, that have been able to institute all of these things. But and to that end, I don't know what the percentage is, but so many are going on to higher education and top universities and such. But there are students of all walks of life, all ethnicities. That college is maybe not the road. What would you do to implement policies to ensure that they don't get lost in the cracks?
All right, Ms. Pescatore, you're on.
That's a question I can answer for you. That's one of my biggest things. My oldest school is not for him. And currently we're in the process of figuring out colleges, and it's very difficult because he has no idea what he wants to do. He's very good with his hands, and I truly believe that there has to be a way in our district to encourage children. It's not so bad to do a trade. It's not a horrible thing if you don't want to go to college. And I'm not trying to downplay college in any way, shape, or form. I encourage it. I think you need it for certain aspects, if you want to run a business. But I think it's very important that kids feel comfortable in whatever career path they choose. And they have to see that it's not taboo or incorrect that they feel that they want to be an electrician, a mechanic, a body shop owner, whatever that may be. We should continue encouraging that in addition to attending college. I also feel that we don't promote it enough as BOCES in our school. The neighborhood always pushes very highly on going to whatever college, all these high-end colleges, and it might not be for those students. And I'm one of those people that push students to do what makes them happy. Thank you.
Ms. Bauer, next question.
I agree that there can be some alternate paths. As Manhasset School District, we can look into how we can provide some opportunities for those alternate paths. I also feel that we live in a really competitive district everywhere in the building. So I think one of the facets that needs to be addressed is some mental health, because I think students need to feel okay with the decisions that they make that is the best for them. Even if 5 other people are going to this school, that school, or everybody's making this team, that team. So I think one of the things that we should be also addressing is making sure that students know that no matter what they choose, they are accepted and they are going to succeed if they're willing to put their mind to it. I think part of it is also teachers really making connections with students and recognizing that one kid may have a particular talent that other kids don't have, and helping that kid kind of find that path. because that's really important as well. But I do think we live in a competitive district, and that mental health piece is a huge part of it.
Ms. Bruno, please.
Thank you. So similar to my fellow candidates, I think the key is also the exposure at the school, right? Because that's usually the first place. So definitely augmenting conversations about those issues. I know one course, Home and Careers, they switched that up a little bit, but how about switching it up with other things as it relates to electrical trades? You know, the one thing that my daughter shared with me is when they had a career fair, there was a lot of representation more from the healthcare sector. Now, coming from the healthcare industry, you would think that I was excited about that, but there could have been other representation from other trade schools. So how could we rotate opportunities for that? We have a great community, and we also have folks that work in important trades even within our own community that we could bring them in to our schools. So it is that exposure, and I think as they see it within their community and are exposed to it, it builds that comfort level and that confidence, and I think makes that seamless connectivity, even with that behavioral comfort, to know that there are other options. But it does start with the school to see how we can broaden that aperture and strengthen that. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Donald O'Brien, and I want to congratulate all of you for taking on the challenge of running for the school board, because a lot of people don't want to do it, and it's a very important job. And now the whole board has been turned over in the last 3 years, so the two of you who get elected will be joining 3 people who have been on the board only 2 years or 1 year. So you all have a great opportunity to take a fresh look at things in Manhasset and try to really bring about some change. And I know it's a real challenge. And you've all touched on one issue, retention. And one of the big problems is I hear that the administration and the faculty in the 3 different schools really are not feeling that it's a good relationship, the teachers, between the administration. And I wonder if you have some thoughts, especially the fact that you all now have children in the school district, and I understand one of the major problems.
Ms. Bauer, you have this one first.
So, I don't want to fully answer that because I have not gotten to speak to administration and the teachers to really dig into what the issue is, but it does feel like there is one, so I think it is our job to dig into that issue and find out truly what's going on that's causing this and do whatever we can to help fix it. Whether it be training programs, whether it be mental health for the teachers, whether it's something that's going on in administration and they need their hands freed up so they can be in the classrooms and be walking around the building and be on the fields more, whatever it is that we need to do, but it definitely, you'd need to find the why, the reason, and then tackle it from there, but I think it's our job to ask the question.
Ms. Bruno, please.
I think it's important to understand first, listen and get feedback, and providing platforms for that. Not everyone likes to come and speak up in a forum. Some may just listen quietly but have a lot to say. So creating opportunities for that platform. I know I've had experience doing surveys, anonymous surveys, but doing them on a consistent cadence to see trends over time. So really understanding the issues. And it's a culture of trust. And when you've lost that trust, it makes it even more difficult to have those candid conversations because you're afraid, what is the other person thinking, right? Perception becomes reality. So if we could create the forum, build that trust, I think there'll be a more organic way that staff, administration, because they should be having these conversations. We want them to be talking about the issues that are important for our students, because that's the only way that they can be supported and then help our fellow students.
Ms. Pescatore.
In my experience so far in the school district, from the elementary school up to middle school through the high school, I've spoken to every individual, maintenance, teachers, staff. I love them all. I think they're wonderful, wonderful people, and we're so lucky to have them. And I think there is a disconnect somewhere along the lines, and I'm trying to figure it out, but I haven't really spoken to everyone, and I do think that we can create some kind of forum, but not just create the forum, make it work, actually listen, actually get something done. Because if they're happy, then the school will run very nicely. It will be, everybody would be content, there wouldn't be turnover, it would be almost like easy sailing, not exactly when you have, mandates, but my true belief is listen to our employees, listen to it doesn't matter who you are. You could be the guy changing the light bulb. They all have something to say, and it's very important for us to hear them and give them a chance to have a voice. Thank you.
Jill Polano. Sometimes people have a newly found interest in Board of Education matters when an election comes around. How many Board of Education meetings have you attended in person? And how many Board of Ed committees have you served on? And don't embellish, because I'll know if you're not being truthful.
Ms. Bruno, do you dare?
Sure.
You're up.
So I haven't counted widgets. I don't think and I'm being facetious, but since I've come into the district, I've listened more silently. During the COVID period, it was easier to be on Zoom. During the past year, I've tried to attend every single meeting because I wanted to learn more, right? I wanted to understand. I wanted to hear folks that came to the meetings. What actually disappointed me is I was expecting my fellow audiences there, others, to sit there with me so we could discuss things that were important to them. So the past year I've been a lot more active, and regardless of what happens to the outcome, I absolutely want everybody's vote. But regardless what happens, you have my commitment that I will still be there at board meetings, making my voice heard, sometimes a little bit more silently, but to make a difference is what I'm committed to.
Thank you. Ms. Pescatore, please.
I have, Jill, attended many board meetings. Maybe not this year because I felt like everything was actually pretty calm. I didn't find any tough issues that I was so compelled to address. But I have been there, and I have joined also board created meetings with DEI and so forth, and I've been involved, and sometimes I do watch online because it's easier if I'm sitting at the soccer field watching my son. So regardless if I make it on or I don't, I will be still here in this town. I will still fight for our children, and I will continue to push for the things that I truly believe in, and that's basically I want great mental health, number one, safety for our students, and happy town. Because when the kids see happiness, they feel it and they feel the passion. Thank you.
Yes, I have not been in person to many. I've listened to most of them on YouTube. I'm also juggling my own school's board meetings, which tend to be, I don't know if you guys all call each other, but they tend to be on the same nights all the time. But I also think one of the things is, Manhasset has been a wonderful, wonderful place for a very long time. And it tends to be that I've given my support. I was on the finance committee back when the kids were not even in the school district yet. I've helped out at the SCA fair. I ran the Halloween dance 2 years in a row. So there are many ways to get involved, which I've been, and even though I may be more silent behind the scenes, I have been keeping my finger on what the issues are. And in the past, again, the issues haven't been really polarizing, but it feels like as we are going along, they feel more polarizing. So I felt like getting involved now was the right thing to do.
My name is Tanya Kapoor. Hi, I have a question for you. When people are running for a position like this, they have grand ideas and they're enthusiastic, and you all mean well, I know that. Once a person gets a position, they find themselves with their wings clipped, and also they have to adhere to a lot of rules and that you may not be aware at this time. And our school district needs a lot of change, yes, retention, budget, facilities, teachers. I truly believe that we don't have enough teachers to actually teach our children. One of my classes has 50 children. A teacher teaches 50 children, that's a lot. What are some of the immediate challenges that you see as new board members and the opportunities that you see to break this inability sometimes to implement or to change things?
Ms. Pescatore, you have this first.
Thank you for the question. Basically, the challenges that we run into, sometimes there's just too much red tape, and I agree, I'm going into this with very high hopes, and I don't take no for an answer. So, as much as I can, I mean, most of you know me from doing other events, and I push, and I push, and I push, and I want what I want. And there's gonna be topics that I cannot possibly change or maybe address because I just don't have that capability. But the things that I can, I promise you, I shouldn't promise it, but I promise to try my best and do everything that I can to stick by my word, because I've never backed down on any of my words. When I say I'm gonna do something, I do it, and I will do it to my fullest. And if I need the help of the community to help on the back end, I will ask for it. So that's what I'm hoping for, that you guys will give any one of us a chance to prove ourselves that we have the strength and the possibility to make the changes.
Thank you, Ms. Bauer.
I think one of the really tough things, and as I was sitting here, in this whole process is we don't know what we don't know, because as a community member, even if you are at every board meeting, there's still things that can't be public. One of the things about being a teacher is I am well aware of the mandates and the difference between a mandate and a guideline, and where we can push and where we can make changes and where we can ask questions. And the bottom line is we can always ask questions, right? We can always ask questions, we can always do research, we can always see if what we want is possible. And at times the answer may be no, right? Because it may be a state mandate, or it may be a budgetary constraint, or it may be they're cutting our funding. And those things are like a hard wall that we're up against, but I do believe it is our job to dig and ask the questions so that we can find out where we can make the changes and how we can make the changes.
Thank you. Now, I thought I saw someone edging towards the microphone. Oh, sorry. My bad. Ms. Bruno, you're on.
Thank you. So when you're committed to making an impact and a change, sometimes you need to trust and listen to each other's voices. And you're gonna have differences in opinion. So I've worked in very large matrix and differentiated teams. And understanding each other's issues and prioritizing in order to move forward, you'll eventually get to your to-do list. But doing it in such a way that's productive and positive is important, because I think that will also build trust, and others are observing you. Even though some things cannot be said or shared, but I think there's things that can be shared in such a way that it allows the community to get a lens into what's going on, so that you can be productive in what you're doing and making an impact, and prioritizing those. I know in speaking to current and past board members, one of the things that's been helpful is that ability to prioritize certain areas and then work towards all those other areas. And I think that's a good approach so that you can make progress over time. And it does take time. You are restricted by those mandates, absolutely. But within those confounds, if you're working as a team and you're leveraging each other at the right time and opportunity, you'll be able to make progress.
Thank you. Now, I did think that there was a question coming here, and I'm going to suggest, unless you guys overrule me, that this be the last question. Is that okay with everybody in the audience? So, with that great responsibility on your shoulders. Where'd you go?
Good evening. My name is Patricia O'Brien. I've lived in Manhasset over 50 years, so you can imagine that I do not have a child in the school district. My question is at a baser level than AP statistics and the level of education, which we all know is superb. My question is, does each of our children feel safe walking into our buildings every day? Are they convinced that they can learn at the level they wish to learn in an environment that they feel comfortable in? So I would like to know if you are satisfied that your children go into their different schools in the safest environment possible. Because I personally am tired of listening to the child who was stabbed on his way to school, or he was in a fight in the cafeteria, he didn't come out with anything except blood all over him. I want to know that you feel that your children walk into school and walk home to you safely. Are you convinced that's going on? And if not, what should we do?
Ms. Bauer, you have this first.
I don't think we're there yet, and there's a couple reasons for that. I think that it's an ever-changing environment. I feel like, every week we're hearing a new story of something that we couldn't fathom happened last week. I think we've made a lot of good steps. I'm happy to hear that there's, the new doors and the security guards. I think the dean of students for next year will be a huge thing because it will keep another administrator in the building to oversee behaviors that are happening in the building. So I think we've made a lot of good steps. I think we're gonna need to make more as the landscape changes. I also fear for their technological safety. I don't know that our data is safe yet. I think we're making some steps in that direction too. I think there's been some headway in looking at protecting our data a little bit more, and that's huge because the kids' data could, if it gets out, it could ruin them for a long time. And I think that includes, are they emotionally safe? I don't, do they feel like they can go into the building and be accepted for who they are on an everyday basis? I don't think we're there yet, but I think there are things that we need to do to make that happen.
Thank you. Ms. Bruno.
So if you're asking me personally, do I feel my kids are safe? Yes. I think the staff and the administration does everything that they have available to them to safeguard the safety of our children. That being said, everyone sees what happens in today's world, so we do need to be on top of certain topics and trends. The way that we educate our children so as not to paralyze them to be scared, but still educating in terms of if they see something, say something, if they're walking home from school, right? Having those types of discussions to educate them, to empower them, and feeling comfortable to tell staff members. But in short, from my students' perspective, I will tell you my daughter Alessia is like a butterfly. We were at the concert yesterday and she had no reservation about walking the hall that was dark to see her illuminated artwork. And to me, that showed that she trusted where she was and she felt safe. But I don't think that we should underestimate the environment we live in and still be vigilant in terms of keeping on top of the trends and what we need to keep and preserve our safety of our children.
Pescatore.
For safety for the school, I absolutely feel safe. Letting my kids attend school every day. Those teachers are on it, the doors are locked, security's always there. There is no question that you're not allowed in that building, and that changed over the last few years. You used to have access, now you do not. And that's okay with me. I feel strong that they're safe. The thing that concerns me, and wait, that's no concern. I feel like our neighborhood, in general, we all look out for each other's children. Every one of us knows who has a dog, who has a kid, who has this, they look out. And that's really, really important. My nephew walks home from school, everyone knows where he is. So I think as a neighborhood, we are safe, but the concerns that I have are more in the high school level when it comes down to, the vaping, possible drug use. And I know we have all the forums and the people looking into things and teaching parents, but parents really, really need to get involved and see how to make things better for the kids, and also the mental health is very important. And I think, you know, I don't have a problem with my children, and I think they're welcoming to all the other kids, and I think that we have to stay positive, and there's always avenues that you can fix. Thank you.
Thank you. So, oh, we have one more? Excellent.
My question is, on the financial side, there's nothing you can do about it now, but the two of you to get elected along with the other three, next year, like this year's $111 million budget, and in order to stay within the tax cap, the administration made most of the cuts at the lower level, like 14.5 aides have been cut, and my question is, I think the board needs to be thinking of the future, like when next year's budget comes up, to challenge the administration, why are we not making a look at some of the top positions in the district and see if is there an opportunity to balance cuts between, if we have to, between the top and the bottom? Because I've been talking to several teachers and they think cutting some of these aides is going to create some real problems, especially in the elementary schools, for the teachers and want to be able to teach the class and keep order. So that's an issue. I was thinking that, I mean, actually you have a limited amount of authority, but you can challenge, my point is, in the future, the budget when it's being reported by the administration to the school board, and say if there are other options possible, maybe have some alternatives, and let's see what the net impact would be of the top and the bottom challenges. Because it's going to be a problem going forward in your term when you do get elected each year.
Okay. And with that, Ms. Bruno, I'm gonna let you go first.
So I absolutely agree with you. I think that the budget always, and it's gonna get harder. I think Governor Hochul, while she did not reduce the state aid this year, I think what she did is she tried to condition school districts to see where they could cut. And that cuts are going to come next year, and that's gonna be difficult, and I agree with you. I think there are areas potentially we could look at. I mean, there are contracts that we're locked into. I know that was a question or a suggestion I made on one board is could we look at contracts where we could negotiate certain areas? Certainly teachers' contracts and things, those are locked into, so those are delicate. But I think if we can look at things holistically, there could be an opportunity, but it will be a difficult decision. I did not envy this board in terms of trying to do what they did. I was at those meetings and listened to the teachers and the teaching aides that were cut, and it was difficult. And in terms of monitoring that, I think that it would be beneficial to monitor the impact of that for those classes where there were teaching assistants that were taken away, and actually asking the teachers what's going on in the future and how that impacted.
I agree 100% that you need to look at the numbers sooner than later. You have to speak to the staff. You have to see where you can change things that will not affect the children. At the end of the day, we should not be taking anything away from our kids, because a teacher's aide might be there for a special needs child for an after-school program. I'm not in there to know the details of it all, but if I do get in, I will promise that I will look at it in every angle, because this is what I used to do. Find the projects, get budgets, make sure everything was in line, to make sure that we are not going to be in the same position. And I think that, you know, we have to be aware of what the state might come down to do to our district, and we have to be prepared for everything. We should have two budgets, one with the number that we think we're going to get, and one with the possibility of not getting that money. And I think that's the best way to go about it and start early. Thank you.
I agree. I think it's our job to look at every line item, not just the administrator's line item, because there has to be places that we can dig a little bit deeper and see if changes could be made. You know, Governor Hochul is making it very hard. This district that I work in, she was looking to remove $4.5 million from our budget, so I watched the cuts happen all around me, including a building. So I know firsthand the challenges and the feelings and what it did to the staff. And I never want to see that for our buildings. There are things we probably will have a hard time working around. If the compensation is 75% of the budget, it's going to be a difficult road, but I do think we need to start asking the questions and seeing what we can research to see where we can cut something somewhere so that next year we'll be in good position.
the bridges now. So
Well,
so
I'll
we're
take
gonna
a-
make this one
Take
last,
a few minutes.
okay?
My name's Jim Pelzer. I've been a resident here in Manhasset since 1968. And for 21 years, I was a member of the Library Board of Trustees. So I know kind of what you're getting into. I found as a library trustee that there were many constituencies that you had to take into account. You had to take into the account the people who use the library, the staff, the administrators, and frequently it's difficult to make a decision among the competing interests. So what I wanted to know from you is what value do you place on consensus? I think Ms. Pescatore said you wanted to make sure everybody was happy. So sometimes very difficult to make people happy. What value do you place on consensus, and how much are you willing to be a dissenting vote in a group that has to take votes on questions?
Ms. Pescatore, please.
My whole life, I basically looked to please everyone, and a lot of times I took away from my own pleasure, and there was reasons for that, because it makes me happy to make everyone else happy and to do the best that I can for them. What I can say is, I think it's on a case-by-case basis. I'm not in there. I have no idea exactly what I'm walking into, but I know, based on the board meetings that I have attended, there's a lot of things that I can help. And by talking to the people that I see on a daily basis, I know where you live, by the way. I park by your house. I follow the rules and I make sure that I engage with everyone. And I think the key thing is, once you engage with people and you see who they are as a human being, you can change things by making them feel important in your life. And I think that's the key thing. That's how I feel on the short note. On the long note, if I have to make a decision and it encompasses the entire board, I will have to do what's best for the community. I would have to take my pride and eat it. It might not be happy on my end, but I have to do what's necessary to make the entire community happy, not just one group.
Thank you. Ms. Bauer, please.
There's a saying that's fair is not everybody getting the same thing, but fair is everybody getting what they need. And I think one of the important things is to listen to everybody's needs. One of the beautiful things about the board is that in interacting with them, it seems like they have a wonderful relationship already, that they turn over problems, that they discuss problems, and that they try to make the best decision possible. So just being a partner in that and turning over the issues and asking the questions and looking at all sides of an argument, trying to see what the best thing is for the entire community. There is an entire community out there. It is hard to please everybody, you're correct. But we do have to listen to the needs of the community and what will benefit the larger community, but that doesn't mean we won't spend hours discussing each need and figuring out what the best thing is, as to not leave any voice unheard.
Thank you. Ms. Bruno, please.
So information is power, in the sense that oftentimes you'll find if you provide the explanation and provide the details, that goes a long way to getting people to understand, even if they're not happy with the decision. I've had to do that time and time again in my job, in my role. And what I found is when you communicate with people on that human level and educate them, they'll start to understand. And oftentimes what you'll even see is they'll support you. And I think that's the best thing that you can do when it comes to those tough decisions. It is really being a conduit for communication and educating them as well.
Well, thank you all for these excellent questions. And now I think we're ready for closing statements. So we will take them in the same order as we did the opening statement. So Ms. Bauer, you have the floor.
I want to express my gratitude for the support and the engagement the community has given us throughout this process. In speaking to our community, I'm inspired by the passion and dedication of every member to make Manhasset the best place for our children. I would be honored to receive your vote and excited at the potential of representing the voices of this community. The success of our schools relies on several factors, which I believe, given my background, I would bring much to the table to contribute to that success. focusing on fostering an environment that continues to develop our dedicated educators, staff, and administrator. We all remember that favorite teacher or staff member from our days in school. I promise to ensure that they have the resources, training, and respect they need to thrive, and by extension for our children to thrive. I promise to be a pragmatic and fair collaborator with the school board that is already so passionate about our schools. Listening to every voice and making fair decisions is so important, while providing transparency to the community at every turn, even when those decisions are challenging. I promise to ask the questions and do the research, no matter what the ultimate outcome is. Working together, I know we can succeed in building on our already strong foundation. Our schools just don't end at the front door or the last bleacher. Our town spirit is what makes Manhasset so special. I hope to add to that community feeling by fostering strong partnerships between our students, staff, and the community to promote school spirit through volunteerism and participation. If elected, I know I can be a tireless advocate for the community, and I know together we can create an environment where children, families, staff, and administrators feel inspired, empowered, and successful.
Thank you, Ms. Bauer. Ms. Bruno, you have the microphone.
Thank you. I'm grateful for the opportunity to run. The more we all step up and serve and offer our talent and skills, it will only elevate the conversation and deliver excellence in education for all our students. It would be an honor to serve with the existing board. I spent a considerable amount of time speaking with existing board members, teachers, administrators on their perspective on the skills needed, the level of effort, and the commitment to be a Board of Ed member. It takes culture, trust, teamwork, collaboration, and objectivity to operate an effective board. My background and my purpose-driven mindset with the support of Joe and my children positions me well to join the current board. It was not a decision I took lightly, but one that I'm truly excited about. I trust you to vote for the candidate that best represents you and what you believe. And if that vote is for me, I will work hard to deliver to make sure that I represent your voice on the Board of Ed. As a friendly reminder, this Saturday, CASA is having a mental health march from 10 to 12. Make sure to meet behind Publicans. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Pescatore.
Thank you. When I first moved here, Manhasset had passion pouring through the bleachers. The starry eyes I had coming from Douglaston really held true. It's a priority for me to ensure that a community we work hand in hand with our faculty, staff, and administration for cohesion and build our camaraderie. Well, if I'm elected and you take a chance on me, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that happens. I'm sure everyone here can remember being a kid and having some of the best experiences of our lives during those years. Now it's our turn to do that for our children. Our community, teachers, staff, and administration deserve to love living and working here, and we should too. This district has pride. It is not going to be easy though. I'm here for the long haul, and I'll need your help as well. It's going to take a village, but together this board will become the voice of all. Accountability, responsibility, and transparency, and overall care. I'll repeat that mantra every day if you grant me this great honor. For those of you who know me, I hope you cheer me on. And for all of those who don't, please take a chance on me. Let me win you over. I am Maria Pescatore, the determined, straightforward go-getter who only wants the best for all. Thank you.
To wrap things up, I'd like to remind the audience that holding elective office is a public service, and running for office takes courage. And I thank our candidates this evening for showing courage, and I must say, a great deal of sincerity in your interest in the schools and doing what's right for your community, so I applaud you for that. I'd like to thank the members of our audience audience as well. You've been attentive, you've asked wonderful questions, even with some prodding, but you did. And you've demonstrated the civic concern that's fundamental to democracy. So candidates, let's applaud our audience for their contribution this evening. And last thing, don't forget to vote. If I have it right, election day is May 21st. Voting starts at 7 a.m., goes to 9 p.m., and will take place in the high school gym. So thank you all, and have a good evening.